This meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting, amended agenda, April 2, 2019. Could we have a moment of silence? Tom?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to change things a little bit. The comments from the public, anybody that's here on the parking on 14th Street, can you hold on that until we get to the regular consent agenda, to the regular agenda, and then that way we can discuss it better. But is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Eric Rogers. I'm the executive director at Bike Walk KC. We're a local nonprofit that works to improve walking and biking in the Kansas City region. And I'm here tonight for a happy occasion. Last week, we conducted a People's Choice Award exercise to find out what new bike or pedestrian facility was the people's favorite out of 2018. And by popular vote, the winner of that was North Kansas City's own Diamond Parkway cycle track. This competed with projects in KCMO and Overland Park and elsewhere in the region. And so last week I had the honor of presenting that award to Community Development Director Sarah Copeland at our annual member meeting, and wanted to come here tonight and also acknowledge all of the work that the city of North Kansas City is doing to make things safer and more accessible for everybody who wants to get around in a variety of different ways. And I just wanted to quickly read you some of the comments that the public provided in voting on your project. So, for example, we have comments like, quote, "North Kansas City is up and coming, and I think this will be a great addition to the expanding city." Quote, "I'm glad that North Kansas City is considering people who bike and walk. I now have a safe bike route to work on a beautiful path. Future connections through the city will make this one of the great systems within the Midwest." And finally, I'm voting for this because, quote, "North Kansas City is awesome." So I wanted to thank you, Council, for providing leadership, and I wanted to thank Sarah and everybody on the city staff for all the work that they're doing. And we have a small token of our appreciation. It's a little plant and a planter that we'd like to present to Sarah and the city staff. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Don't kill it, Sarah.
Anybody else? Okay. Consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda be accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 10.
Snake Saturday Review, J.D. Green Northland Festivals.
Yes, sir. Mr. Green.
First, I want to say thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council, and thank you, City staff. This was probably the best Snake Saturday Parade we've ever had. And that all starts with everybody that I just thanked, because you go all the way back to Mickey Finn and Bill Grigsby and Clark Ferguson, who put it on the streets, to this being the 35th year, and it all starts right here in this building. We had great weather. After the harsh winter that we had, in the Midwest winter, I think everybody had cabin fever.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, we had weather that even the forecasters couldn't predict.
Yeah.
We went from a predicted high of 41 on Sunday to a predicted high the day before of 55 to 62 degrees when I left here at 5:15. This place was packed. When the parade was over, I was glad I had a golf cart to get around over to the festival area because I thought I was at Arrowhead Stadium, and the Chiefs had just finished the game. We've got great sponsors, starting with North Kansas City Hospital. We've got great volunteers. We had 128 registered floats this year. We only lost 2. Normally, we lose 10 to 20%. We lost 2. We only had 6 that were out of order. We only had 1 gap in the parade that I saw, and we created it to give our judges a chance to get caught up. And yet, when we had the critique meeting last Monday, the parade chairwoman and her staff reported that this was the worst staging parade they've ever had. And we told them, keep it up. We realized there were some new things this year. And I say new. For 32 years, we started at 14th and Swift. 3 years ago, we went to 16th and Swift, and we had some people, first year they didn't notice it because we had snow on the parade route. Second year they noticed it, and we went back to 14th and Swift, and we did some staging changes. And yes, it probably did create a little bit, but it was super fantastic. The festival area, I can tell you that the carnival made $42,000 gross. There were 260 kids sign up for the Central Auto Racing Boosters bicycle giveaway. And the vendors and concession people, that's why I was here at 5:15, were ecstatic. But with all that said, there are some things that come out of any critique meeting, some things that we need to look at. Next year, we need to come up with a size of a vehicle to make the turn at Swift and Armour. One of the radio stations came in with a huge trailer, and that gets really, really tight there at Swift and Armour. And even though there's the green line, I was told, and I wasn't there, I was told we had to move the people back from the green line. One of the things we want to look at as a committee and an organization is possibly purchasing for the Parks and Recreation, or for the Public Works Department. It'd come out of our budget. Pat always asks me, that's out of your budget, isn't it? But we might want to put some of those metal barriers right there just to keep people somewhat back from that area. The one thing that we really did emphasize this year, we had a volunteer coordinator that stepped up, called every one of the floats, asking the 501c3s. We had 37 of those. We call those the Rainbow Division. That was a record. We had 22 Fogies, which is family organized youth and youth groups, and we had 22 of those. Each of those ends up with prize money going home. Because we called them the week of, we only saw 2 that were still throwing candy into the crowd. One of our emphasis is please hand the candy out. From last year, we were told about kids running out into the parade itself and grabbing the candy off of people's trailers. So this year, we were much better for that. It's the one thing when 4 o'clock rolls around on Saturday afternoon, I go, because that does worry me every year. So with that, I open it up. Do you have any questions?
I'd just like to say that I've seen this parade for a number of years, been on the council a number of years. What impresses me greatly about Snake Saturday is it's a family event. I always look to see how many people, how many miscreants we've had, how many bad boys we've had turn up, and we do a great job of attracting people who want to bring their kids, their wives, their significant others, or whatever, to North Kansas City to see this parade and to participate in it. And I think that's a wonderful tribute. They know a good thing when they see it, and they come over here.
And I agree with that. I will tell you, I had 2 businesses call the week after already wanting to participate next year. And I also want to thank our Grand Marshal because he's been a big part of turning that into a family event.
Amen.
And getting rid of the alcohol on the streets. And you're welcome, Steve.
No, I just want to thank you for your efforts. It was a great day, great crowd, and from some of the business owners I've talked to, a great day for business as well. And I'm sure turnout's attributed to our Grand Marshal as well. So that's probably why. I wouldn't think it's the weather. It had to be the marshal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, JD.
Great job.
Oh, number 11.
Request for consent to assign purchase option for 1007 Armor, Bill number 7389, ordinance number 9186.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. In February of last year, City Council approved giving Matt Adam Development an option to purchase the city-owned property at 1007 Armor, which is at the corner of Lynn and Armor. And on January 15, 2019, the council approved an extension of that option. The development model for this project depends upon a successful application for low-income housing tax credits, which would be a mix of affordable and market rate units for this building, similar to the Gardens at Northgate Senior Apartments. Last year, the developer wasn't successful in its application for these, and the lead for this project, Ryan Tull of RCT Investments, states that application for these funds is more likely to be successful with Yarco Development or Yarco Devo LLC as the lead applicant. We explain further their rationale in the memo in your packet. Staff has no concerns about assigning the option to purchase to Yarco Devo, and we would recommend approval of that assignment. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance consenting to assignment of purchase option rights wherein Matt Adam Development Company Incorporated desires to assign to Yarco Devco LLC all of its rights, title, and interest in, to, and under the agreement for option to purchase property between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Matt Adam Development Company Incorporated regarding certain real property generally located at and adjoining 1007 Armor Road in North Kansas City, Missouri.
I move that bill number 7389 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9186.
Second.
Got a motion?
Call the roll.
I lost it here now.
Call roll.
I'll call a roll, okay.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman? Yes. Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Steffen?
Yes.
Oh, Councilmember Stewart?
I'm not here.
Sorry.
Yes.
Whoops. An ordinance consenting to assignment of purchase option rights wherein Matt Adam Development Company Incorporated desires to assign to Yarco Devco LLC all of its rights, title, and interest in, to, and under the agreement for option to purchase property between the City of North Kansas City, Missouri and Matt Adam Development Company Incorporated regarding certain real property generally located at and adjoining 1007 Armor Road in North Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, number 12.
On-street parking time restrictions, 1400 block of Swift.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. Mayor Stilo has requested that a request be placed on the council agenda to discuss a request from a business located on the east side of the 1400 block of Swift Avenue, that the parking spaces on the east side of the 1400 block be signed and enforced for 2-hour parking. There are currently no restrictions on those spaces. Sean Galloway, owner of the Brewery located at 1443 Swift, has made this request. He states that the construction of the new building or the occupation now of the new building at 1425 Swift has brought an additional 30 to 50 new employees to his block, and that they are parking there in that block on the east side, in front of his business and others on that block on the east side, all day, and that in turn is not allowing customers who are looking to patronize his establishment to find parking right in front of his building, because those folks are there all day. So he has asked for this this change. Staff does think that designating these and enforcing them as 2-hour parking might accomplish the results that Mr. Galloway is hoping for in terms of making the spaces turn over. On the other hand, we do have some concerns that it could cause unintended consequences. We found that to be the case in 1200 Swift. A few years ago, we did put some restrictions in at the request of a business in that block, and then we found that other businesses in the 1200 block of Swift were complaining that it was hurting their business to have those 2-hour restrictions. We ended up revoking those a short time ago. After receiving this request, staff did contact representatives of the building's owners, some of who I think may be here tonight, who in turn contacted the building's anchor tenant, Leanne Carlson, who is the owner of Lawrence Hope Medical ID. She has asked her employees to begin using a private parking lot located at 15th and Swift, which has been largely empty during the day, and it belongs to the same owners as the building at 1425 Swift. So they and their representatives have asked the employees in that building to begin using that lot. The city just made changes to on-street parking on Swift after a fairly extensive process of consideration. Staff would rather not reopen the question of on-street parking restrictions so soon after having gone through that process. Our thought would be that we wait and see if the voluntary measures that have been encouraged of the employees in that building might, in fact, cause the spaces in front to open up of that block. So our recommendation would be that we hold off and see if voluntary action might accomplish these objectives without the need for the city to take some kind of action in that block. But we seek any direction that you might want to provide us at this time. I do think there are a number of people here who wanted to speak on this particular item.
Sean?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And I'll second JD as well as part of the Snake Saturday Committee. It was a great parade. Yes, as Eric pointed out, pretty much summarized the point that we're trying to make. Quick history of our business is we just celebrated 2 years on Swift yesterday, actually. We opened our tap room just over a year ago. And we make kombucha, which is fermented tea, if you guys don't know. One thing about, and I realize you guys don't want to talk about parking. I know there was a long drawn-out thing about that. The specific situation that is addressing our block, though, is not something that was ever addressed in that study, and that's the new building at 1425 Swift and the employees that have moved in. With that building, I'm not really sure exactly what the parking situation was meant to be with that many people in that building on that block. Our block is Zone C2 retail, and we have quite a few retail businesses on that block. Uniquely, Mid-America Contractors is my landlord, and also the landlord at 1425 Swift. And so I'm kind of like been trying to work this out, and the lot that Eric is talking about at 15th and the southeast corner of 15th and Swift has 52 spaces that are striped. The east side of Swift, which is all I'm looking to have monitored, has 22. So there's more than enough off-street parking to really encompass or to accommodate not just this building, but any other new tenants that might pop up. After talking with Eric and also my landlord, I'm more than willing to try to see if by my landlord intervening and trying to ask those employees and those businesses to park in that lot, I'm more than willing to see if that will work. I know it's not just, 2 or 3 spaces in front of my building or 2 or 3 spaces down the street. I mean, it's a good, realistically, 10 to 15 spaces that would probably be needed to be open on that, out of those 22. So in my head, it's like, my brain tells me that people are going to park where they want to park if they can park there legally. So, if it's a cold, rainy day, they're going to park as close as they can. But like I said, I'm open to any of that. Just whatever work. I want to be a good neighbor and have a long, successful business here in Northtown. We want to open 2 more days a week. We're currently only open to the public Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Obviously, it's not a problem on Saturday, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we want to open 11 to 7 and provide lunch as well as we do on Thursday and Friday now. So that's pretty much all I have on that, I think. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions for me or anything?
Mr. Mayor? Oh, more?
Anybody else?
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name's Kylie Suter, and I actually own the Velo Garage and Tap Houses at 14th and Swift. And just kind of reiterating some of the concerns that we have with the typical hours that we actually see a lot of those congested parking spots or those occupied parking spots are actually the hours that our bike shop gets most of its repair business. So that means we have customers that are parking quite a distance away from our shop that are actually bringing or lugging a broken bike they can't ride to the shop to get it repaired. We've heard that from customers a number of times that just said, how do we get our bike to you? We really only have like 4 spots or 3 spots that are in front of our shop anyway. One of them's occupied by a fire hydrant. So we have a pretty limited number of spots that are available for customers during the peak times that they actually are bringing in heavier broken equipment to the shop. And we've also seen some of our other business neighbors within KC Auto Trim where they're having to carry chairs or automobile furniture down our sidewalk to take it in there. So these are things that are, for us, it's customer concerning. We want to make sure, not all of our customers are necessarily some that I want to have carrying a bike quite some distance back to our shop to get fixed if it's not rideable. And typically we, especially for our older customers, we definitely make sure we take their bikes out with them and load them up in their vehicles. So I appreciate that you guys have had this conversation before. I know that I don't want to beat a dead horse. I just want to know that there's some customer impacting things that we've experienced in the short amount of time that office building's been occupied. And I did get an email from Brian Vitova, who's actually the manager for that property. And we're all friends. We all talk. They come in, they hang out, they check out bikes, they have a beer or whatnot on occasion. So we talk with them. They know what's going on. They're aware of our concerns. So, we're also eager to see that work through just the channels of them being able to do it themselves. But if not, it is something that we would love to kind of mitigate that customer impact so that they're not driving away and driving past our shop to take it to some other bike shop that they could actually park in their parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, I am Brian Vitava. I'm one of the partners and managers of the 1425 Swift office building, and I'm not surprised that this comes up as an issue. I think a lot of folks have the very Midwestern mindset of wanting to be able to pull up and park right in front of where they want to go. And we actually, I found out about this recently through conversation with Sarah and Eric. And so a couple days ago, actually it was about a week ago that I had found out. And so a couple days ago, we did notify our tenants. And the response from Ms. Carlson, who's the kind of the first floor occupant of the building, and Jenny Simmons, who's the manager for KRM, or 54th Street Bar and Grill's headquarters there. They both responded very positively and said, we'll let our employees know. We provided them a map of the areas we'd like them not to park. We've also yesterday striped out an additional 6 stalls that weren't really being used behind the building. So we've done that. And then also across the street, we have seen that there are kind of some old defunct door, kind of loading doors to the building across the street that are boarded up. And there are probably another 4 stalls that could be striped if the city so chose. Eric and I talked about that briefly and leave it to them to figure out if those could be utilized as parking stalls while the building's loading docks are unused. So we definitely want to be good neighbors, and I am a frequent patron of Kylie's, and we're happy to do whatever we can. I think the organic approach of letting our tenants, first making them aware is probably the great first step, but we want to do everything we can as responsible owners to make sure that all the small businesses around aren't negatively impacted by the 50 or hopefully 60 plus employees that we've brought to the area. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, yeah.
Well, I drove down there a couple times during the week. It may not have been, I didn't realize you was that restricted on the days, but one of them was a Friday, I know, at noon to see. And yeah, on the Friday, there was only one place left. Of course, maybe those people parked there was in your establishment, I don't know. But, I'm glad you're all trying to work this out, because one thing is, you can't make too many exceptions on-street parking. It's first come, first serve, even in my neighborhood. You can come park in front of my house all you want, and nothing I can do about it. It's hard to make exceptions. And I did notice on the days I down there's plenty of places to park. You may have to walk 100 feet. But if I wanted to go to a restaurant, I would think nothing of walking a half a block, parking somewhere and walking a half a block. And I know that, like you said, everybody wants to park right in front of wherever they go. Well, they never want to eat at chapels or anywhere, because, you really have to find a place to park, used to. But, employee parking, somebody said, well, you can't make your employees park somewhere. Well, yes, you can. The city certainly, there used to be a fire station at 1828 Swift, right across from Hellsberg's now. And they told us, we was parking in the parking lot next door, which was a public parking lot. But they said, no, employees can't use that no more. It's got to be for the public. We had to park at 14th and Swift and walk 4 blocks. So, and it didn't hurt us. I'm not complaining about it. I think I did at the time. But, we just have to work it out. I know the businesses want everybody to be able to, park real close and get there, especially if you're hauling a bicycle, in and, and stuff. But it's just hard to do. It's just a first come, first served type thing. So I hope you do get together and kind of work it out. And, of course, if you don't, tell the mayor and get something back on it.
But just a couple comments. I do hope the collaborative approach can work, and the city doesn't have to get involved. That would be an ideal situation, not just in this case, but in many others. However, I would say that if for some reason it doesn't work out, I would be willing to look at parking restrictions for a couple of reasons. One is I think our small businesses, and really small businesses anywhere, have a hard enough time as it is. And so to make it even harder or put another barrier in place with people not being able to access the restaurant easily or whatever, wherever you're going, the bike shop, I think that's just making it harder on our own businesses, which we don't want to do. And frankly, I don't think the employees, of the building want that either. They might actually like to go to those places and visit them. And the other is that I do think, as Councilmember Stewart has said, we're in a inner city, no, not inner city, but we are in the core of a major metropolitan area. I don't think, as an employee, I would tell you I don't have the expectation that I can go and park on the street at my job and stay there all day. I have a parking garage. I have designated parking. I think most people understand that. We've had the luxury in North Kansas City where we've had that on-street parking for employees or whoever. But as we grow and develop, we're not always going to have that luxury. And I think this is kind of the sign of maybe things to come. So I would love for it to be collaborative. I welcome that. I support that. And if for some reason that can't work out, then I do think the city probably needs to become involved.
I agree with both council people. It's almost a semi-perennial problem, parking. It'll be with us for ad infinitum, and we're just going to have to deal with it. It's good to hear that the businesses are putting their heads together, getting along with one another, and making an effort to try to figure out the best thing to do. But ultimately, it is on the onus of the city to accommodate and to work out the problem. We're the final solution to the problems that you're going to have. So work with us and we'll work with you, and it'll come to some kind of fruition eventually. We just have a little patience and on both sides, and we'll try to figure something out to make everybody as happy as we can.
And not just echo what Valerie said, I would totally agree that, I mean, you're looking at retail and commercial business. What, you say there's 5 businesses on the block though, right?
I'm sorry, sir.
Did someone say there's 5 businesses on that block? Does anyone know?
You said 5 parking spots, I thought.
5 businesses or I mean, is everyone there in retail or service business?
There's 3.
There's several there.
What was the other? Well, yeah, you have the mixed-use building. Okay. I mean, that's more I'd be interested to see what the businesses are and see what they think. I mean, because I would think even for your situations you were describing, I mean, if you get the core employees to park in behind, then that would also open the front for visitors to those businesses that are probably just trying to get those spaces to go in and out. So I would definitely be in support of it if it doesn't get worked out.
So if we hear that there's, or the issue is continuing, we'll be happy to bring this back to you for further consideration.
The one thing I might say is if Mid-Continent built the 2-story building, I wonder if they would have rented that to somebody that depended on walk-in business, you know, their attitude for the parking would be a lot different than what it is now. You know, I mean, you know, so they might look at that. But anyway, okay. Well, how do we want to proceed here? Just.
I think I'd like to. I just interject and say that you know, parking's been a problem in this city probably since after World War II. But I think on this issue, if it can be resolved without us, kick the can down the road and see what happens, and then you know, see if we have to address it in the future.
Can we? Is that agreeable?
Yes, sure. Yes. Yeah.
Can we just pull this off the agenda? And
Well, you can just direct us not to do anything at this time, and
yeah, okay.
that'll take care of it, sir. So,
okay. Well, we're gonna keep an eye on it. Thank you for all for coming. Yeah. Okay, 13.
DGI Enterprise Qualified Entity Program, removal of drone geofencing, resolution number 19-019.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on the Fire Chief, Dave Hargis.
Good afternoon, or good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you is an agreement with the DJI Enterprises. It's the manufacturer of our drones. With the proliferation of drones in the United States, they've taken it on themselves to create geofencing inside their software in the drones that limits flights inside restricted airways, which we're in a Class D airspace in North Kansas City because we're within 5 miles of a municipal airport. Our recent updates of our software have now, we are not able to lift off within the city limits of North Kansas City, even though we have the clearance from the FAA. Currently, we could request for DGI, we could send them a form. It would take up to 30 days for them to release us for a mission. That doesn't work with what we want to use the drones for. And they've also come up with an agreement we can sign with them in which we ensure them that we're going to fly within the safety regulations of our certificate of waiver from the FAA. And that's what this is before you, is that agreement that we would sign with them. They would remove that geofencing from all of our drones, and we would have unrestricted flights in North Kansas City as long as we stayed within the boundaries of the FAA.
Have you read all that paperwork that took through that?
Unfortunately, I have a couple of times. Mr. Barcy was pretty adamant that when it says I have read and understand, that I had read and understand that. So, yes, I have.
Is there a cost to this? I didn't see that.
There's no cost to the program. It's just making sure that we're assuring them that when they remove those safety precautions, that we will be using our vehicles responsibly.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could add just one thing. What you do need to understand, when they remove that, if we mess up, we're indemnifying them from any liability or responsibility whatsoever. I mean, you know, you do need to understand that.
Well, that's the part I read.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Yeah.
Is that removed technically, or do they have to physically come and do something with the drones?
When we make this agreement, they accept it. They will go in and remove. We provide them with the serial numbers of our controllers and our aircraft. They will go into their system, and when we do a firmware update, it will remove that geofencing from our aircraft.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 14.
Facility usage agreement with Quick Trip Corporation, resolution number 19-018.
Eric?
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Chief Harkis.
Mayor and Council, this facility usage agreement is with Quick Trip Corporation. As you're aware, they announced last week that they have bought the OUP building on Armour Road. We've been in talks with them about using that for training purposes prior to the demolition of that building. They have remediated all of the asbestos out of that, and with that done, we've been in contact with them. This agreement would allow us to utilize that for training purposes until such time they do the demolition.
But you can't burn it.
We can't burn it.
Thank goodness for that.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 15.
Renewal of contract with Westlaw for computer-assisted legal research, resolution number 19-017.
Eric?
Thanks, sir. I'll call on the City Councilor, Tom Barzee.
This is an annual contract that we have that allows me to be able to access laws and treatises and other legal materials throughout the country to perform my job function. Just so you remember, we used to have more books than we have now, and that, by subtracting the cost of that off, it helps offset some of this number, certainly not all of it. But as you can see, it's going from like $902 a month to $929 a month. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them for you. But it is something that's used, and you know, it helps pretty much all of the departments in the city at some time or another in the research that I'm able to do. And I will say this, it's also a lot more cost efficient than the way when I went to law school, we didn't do it that way, and it was all through books, and much more time consuming than it is now.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I had a question. I approve it, but I just wanted to ask, we go through this, I think, every year, giving you the permission to go ahead and have this type of thing. Is there any way that we could extend that time so that it could be done? I mean, I think we're going to do it. We're going to do it forever, and we're going to do it as long as I can remember.
We could. I suggested we do it for 1 year just because I don't like to bind future councils if we don't have to. But we can always do it for a longer. We could do it for a longer period, and if you prefer, we do. We can do that.
Would there be any advantage to doing it for a longer period of time? Would we get a break, maybe financially?
Yes, you do. You do get a break. It is a lesser percentage. It is. It's not a lot, but I think it's.
Okay.
Well, I'd have to. Well, yes,
I can do that next year.
I don't have that. We could do that next year if you like,
yeah,
Mr.
I won't be
Sanders.
around next year, but just remember me and when you get ready to do
Eric
that.
and I do discuss it, though. It's purely, you know, it comes up every year, and it's 3%, and I think if you did it over a couple of years or 3 years, it'd be 2% per year.
Well, it's the best thing for you, and so I think we should just go ahead and, you know, figure out a way next year to extend it.
So noted, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. I think that would be a couple of years, you know, maybe a 2-year contract, and if it gives us a little break, most councils are 2-year any way kind of for stability. So.
Unfortunately, it's the cost of doing business. Moving forward.
Where are we on the, is it a vote item? Yeah.
Did we move? Yeah, we already voted on it. That's right. We're good.
Too late.
You did vote.
I voted.
Yeah, we voted.
Did you read it?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't have to read it. It's a resolution, so we're on number 16.
Thank you
Pay the bills.
for keeping us.
Approving accounts due and payable by the city through March 29th, 2019. Bill number 7390, ordinance number 9187.
First reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through March 29th, 2019.
I move that bill number 7390 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9187.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing payment for certain accounts due and payable by the city through March 29th, 2019.
Mr. Ake.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to call on the finance manager, Shirley Land.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you. Last meeting you had, you approved some software for us to so we could email people their utility bills. And we're getting ready to start instituting that, probably not till the end of next month or the month after. But the company's asked for 10 volunteers to get their bills emailed so that they can try it out before we turn it loose on the rest of our customers. And was hoping that some of you would volunteer for that. If you want to do it, send me the email send me the request from the email that you want to get your bill from.
Is it the water bill, correct?
Yes, it is the water bill.
You said businesses or residents?
Whoever wants to be a volunteer, anybody can get their bill
Oh, okay.
emailed.
And just contact you?
Yeah, email me the request.
Okay.
I need at least 10 people. So we can find out if it works, and then we'll turn it loose on everyone.
Staff tomorrow will email you a request to request us to.
Okay.
But I need you to email me back using the address that you want the bill to come to. Not, I don't think you want your utility bills to go to the
But
city
we could
address.
CC our other address if is that okay with you? If we put a CC on with the other address?
Yes.
Okay.
And check your spam.
Is this billing system going to be different than like the draft I do now?
It's the same, it's the upgraded building system that we're using now. It just allows us to email, which we weren't able to do before.
Okay, so I won't have to write a check or anything, start writing money, because mine's automatically paid now.
And you would still get a draft. We still draft your account, yeah.
Is this going to be able to tell us, somebody's using too much water immediately?
No, this won't have anything to do with usage. It just
We're going to
allows
have to
you.
do that manually, sir, and we are working on that.
I didn't know you could use too much water.
Well, if you got a leak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to cut back on showers.
No, don't do that.
Please don't. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. And next, I'd like to call on the Assistant City Administrator, Kim Nakahota.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I thought I'd give you a quick update on where we are with the Tim C. Crummett Charitable Fund Committee. The committee met earlier this month, actually last month now, it's April. And we are making good progress on our Richards Park program. The committee has selected the final artist, and we are in the contracting process right now. That contract will come before the City Council for approval, and during that time, we'll be able to announce who the artist is, and we'll have some mock-up pieces of what that artwork would look like. The artist that was selected would go through a public engagement part, which means that the artist would come and chat with residents within our community and business owners about what they think about the North Kansas City community and images that they would like to see displayed on that artwork. So the piece is not finalized yet. We will see some concept steps before it goes to completion. So more news to come with that. We also have, the committee has announced their public art mural pilot program, which has actually caught the attention of some local media, so you may see some news stories on that tonight and perhaps later on this week. So what that process is it is a partnership to allow murals, public art murals, to be placed on private businesses. So it actually will go on it'll kick off on 2 phases. Right now we're doing the call for walls. Businesses need to opt in to be able to be considered for this program. So any business owner or landlord, we do need to have the building owner's approval before they can be put into the selection process. So we are doing our call for walls, and That is open for the majority of this month, so if any business would like to put their wall in for consideration, that is a free process. They can get in touch with me or call City Hall. And then right after that, the committee will select the final wall that they would like to proceed with, and then we will do a call to artists for that specific wall. Unfortunately, we can't do two in tandem because some walls are longer, some walls are square. The artist really needs to know the exact dimensions so that they can create a piece of custom artwork specific to that wall. So if you have any questions about either of those two programs, please let me know.
Those sound great.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, more to come on that. And then just lastly, we do have several status reports in your packet. The upcoming city items of note, the status of city projects and purchases report that we provide to you on a quarterly basis, and also for the our first update to you on the strategic plan that you approved in January as to the statuses there. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them.
I think you have Bonanza in there on the 9th, I think, or the 6th, but I think it's actually the 13th.
Well, I apologize for that. If we have that error, I'm not sure how that happened, but yeah. Okay, sorry, that date was moved, I'm told. So
Yeah.
that's what, we never got that fixed. So thank you for that correction.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
First question I have is, what's going on down in the corner of 16th and Iron with a container that's set straight up and down?
All right, sir. So that is the person who's organizing it, and I guess we'll be owning it, is calling the Iron District. And that is going to be sort of an outdoor food hall in which the kitchens are in those containers. And she has worked with the Community Development Department to get the necessary approvals, and so now they are doing a lot of moving around. It's an interesting concept, and I think they hope to be up and operating in a few months' time. So that's what that is.
I've had a few people ask me, what in the world is it doing sitting on end?
I'm not sure what it's doing sitting on it.
That one is not a kitchen. That's just a little art piece that they're putting there on the corner as a point of interest.
Everybody for the double take.
Yeah.
My next thing is, Bill, this is your last night with us.
Yeah.
No, I'll be here for the next.
You'll be here for
I got one
partial
more.
meeting.
Yeah.
But been great serving with you again.
Appreciate that.
We'll go from there.
I'll be here for a chocolate cookie or something.
Hopefully they let you have a chocolate cookie. Also wanted to reiterate with all of the services, whether it be Public Works, Police, Fire Department, this year has been brutal to us. Everybody's done an exceptional job keeping the city up and running compared to some of the other cities that didn't quite have it as fortunate as we do. I just wanted to thank everybody. That's all I have this evening.
All right. Congratulate Jonathan Barnes. Looks like he already took off for his appointment on the hospital board. And then also congratulations to Sarah and also worked on all these projects and are earning awards left and right, it looks like, for this. Because what is it, the second or third? We got the Missouri Municipal League Innovation. Or no, that was for Pop-Up Parklet. I'm lying. I quit talking. Congratulations on the award.
I'd like to say that I had the opportunity to congratulate the Lady Hornets again in person. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me to read the proclamation. The kids were very excited. It was a lot of fun to participate, and they were very grateful since they were there this time, and I met a lot of the parents and all the coaches, and it was just a really wonderful event to be part of, and I appreciate it.
I have a couple things tonight to make up for the few meetings that I was gone on vacation, and also I was very sick with the flu and strep throat, so thank you for your patience during that time. I wanted to say, well, one, formal congratulations to the Lady Hornets. I've followed them over the years, and I think that's great. Congratulations to Jonathan Barnes for his appointment to the hospital board, and also for your Diamond Parkway Award. That's super awesome, and just the start of things to come, I believe. Municipal Services, thank you for your help in our neighborhood with some signage and also with the alleys, which have gotten really destroyed over this harsh winter, as Councilmember Farr says. And then I'd also like to say, since I'll probably say it next time too, but thank you to Bill Sanders for being such an excellent ward mate and
Save
fellow
some of them
council
for next
members.
week.
I'll work on it between now and then, so I've got, I've got 2 weeks to write up my speech.
I'll call you.
Okay. Things you want me to add in to the speech? Okay, excellent. All right, so we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Bill? Does anybody know, is it true that Jefferson's is going to take over Kelso's?
Yes, sir, that is the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
They are a franchise. I think their nearest one's in Lawrence.
Lawrence,
And
yeah.
we do expect them to be opening in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I've looked at their menu, and it's going to be wild, and it's going to be great. I think they'll be a true asset to the city. Hopefully, it'll be really a neat thing. And what about the old Quick Trip? What's going to have anybody have any ideas about that yet?
It is owned by NT Realty. They have contacted us just to sort of ask us some questions about what the city regulations in the area are. I don't know if we know any more, sir. No, we don't have any other information at this time. It'll be about a year before the new Quick Trip is up and operating, so I'm assuming that one will continue operating there in the meantime.
Okay, just nosy. That's all I had, thank you.
Well, I also want to echo the comments on the bike Diamond Parkway. So appreciate that award. And I wanted to thank all the volunteers and everybody that worked the Snake Saturday Parade. I wasn't able to be at the parade this last year. I was in New York, and I forgot to tell JD that they had their Snake Saturday Parade, or they had their St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday when I was there, and it wasn't near as good as the one Snake Saturday here in North Kansas City. So great job as always, Northland Festivals on that. Appreciate that. And good luck to all the candidates tonight that are anxiously awaiting the results. And I'll save some of my material for next week, but Bill, it has been a pleasure working with you and learning from you. And I know one of our former mayors, Gene Bruns, used to say institutional knowledge, and so we're going to lose a little bit of that, in the next few weeks. But it's been a pleasure serving.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
Yeah, I got a couple things. One is, where are we on getting our sidewalk back downtown?
Are you speaking of the Armour and Swift corner?
I am.
Yes, sir. We have spoken to the contractor for Northtown Devco. We do expect them to be getting started any day now. They said they were waiting for good weather, so the weather is improving, so we do hope to see them out there very soon.
Okay. And have we heard anything about starting a new Burger King so they can get out of where they're at?
We've finished plan review and we're ready to issue a permit, but we're waiting for the owner to choose a contractor. And I believe we have some other legal things that we need to do, but we're making progress.
Oh, good.
We have, remember, we still own that property, they still own theirs, and the first thing we have to do is close on those things. We're doing, as soon as they gave us notice, we proceeded to do our due diligence. They're doing a phase 1 environmental site assessment on the existing Burger King that we will require, which should be done in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping that this is going to be to you. My hope is that we'll be able to give you good news by the first part of May.
Oh, good. Okay. And my other thing here is you're going to have to picture it in your head now. You know, where we closed the road on Howe. You know, that's one way. Picture yourself driving on Iron. No, doesn't matter where you're going, north or south. But you turn west on 23rd Street. Red light. Can we have that blinking yellow or something till there's no way anybody's going to be driving down the street opposite of you. And the reason I thought of it is I've turned that direction a couple times, and it just doesn't make sense if it can be done.
This is something that Councilmember Farr brought up to us, and I think Chief Beamer, you had some concerns.
Well, let me say this: those two are circuited together, both Howe and Iron intersections.
Oh, okay.
If you turn one on Blink, you've got both intersections.
Oh, then we can't do it then.
Otherwise, we were going to do it at request of the police department.
Oh, okay. Well, then we can't do it. Scratch that. And if any of you, you know, the state of Missouri just came out with the Real ID. I can save you some heartache. You know what I'm talking about, the new driver's license for flying is I went down to get mine today, and I took with me my passport, a tax receipt, and my driver's license. And you stand in line, then you find out that's not enough. The lady said, "Do you have a voting card?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but not on me. You know, I don't even have to show that to vote anymore." So I went out the truck, I found it, I come back in with it, got in line again. She said, "Do you have a Social Security card?" Oh my God. I said, "No, I don't. Who carries a Social Security card?" And everybody raised your hand at once, but anyway, I went home for that, and I found it stored away somewhere, and I went back, I got mine. But now you ladies need to listen to this. My wife says, "Well, you know everything you need, so I want to go do it." So I said, "Well, here's what you need. 4 things here." She went down there, sat in line for an hour. I dropped her off. When she come out, I said, "You get it?" She said, "No." She said, "They discriminate against women." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Have you ever changed your name?" She's the only one I got married. She said, "We need to see your marriage license." And there was a lady, another lady, they said, "Have you ever changed your name?" And she said 4 times. And they said, "You got to bring all 4 events to get this federal ID." Anyway, so I don't take all night just in case Bill doesn't show up next week, our next meeting, or I forget. Well, I was in Northern Ireland. You know, we got a sister city in Northern Ireland, Bushmills. And they named the city after the refinery. I mean, the distillery.
Yeah.
So, while I was there, I got Bill a present.
Oh.
From
I told you I was going to show up.
our sister city.
Oh, look at that.
Not unsealed. They're
Wow. How about that?
Irish whiskey from
right.
Bushmills.
Oh, that's cool.
Faith in Migora. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
Well, that's all I had. Thank you.
We'll open it up. What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting for the executive session.
We'll do another round of comments.
Oh, my gosh.
It's tough going last. Well, congratulations again to the Lady Hornets and B-ball, state champions. And you're going to be missed, Bill. We appreciate you being on the city council.
Thank you, sir.
And another thing I thought I'd mention is, I'm going to mention is, I haven't noticed any problems in our city on potholes. That seems to be a big issue in a lot of areas, but not here. And I think that's another example of, the city doing a good job. I want to iterate that appreciate all the police, fire, and public works employees for all the efforts that they've done through a hard, long winter this year. And I'll conclude by mentioning April 4, 5, and 6, that's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, is the book sale at the library.
Well, I met our new robot this morning, thanks to the chief. It looks like an exciting piece of machinery. And
What did it do for you?
nothing.
I was going to ask whether you're looking for him.
No, we were not searching for him. We brought him to the robot. Today we did training. 1 member of the fire department, 2 members of the police department are going to be primary drivers on that unit. They spent a full day with it, learning the capabilities, learning how to manipulate it. I think the robot's going to come visit the council in 2 weeks on the 16th. So you'll have an opportunity to get a look at it then, and we'll try and answer any questions you might have.
Well, that's all I got. Number 20.
Consideration of a request to hold in recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute, Section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Farr?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong?
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce?
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman?
Yes.
Councilmember Sanders?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Clevenger?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan?
Yes.